Hermann von Helmholtz, a towering figure of 19th-century science, stands as a polymath whose contributions spanned physiology, physics, mathematics, and philosophy. While his name resonates most strongly within the realms of visual and auditory perception, his 1870 treatise on the conservation of force represents a critical, culminating statement of his lifelong commitment to establishing the principle of energy conservation as a fundamental law governing all natural phenomena. This essay delves into the intellectual genesis, core arguments, immediate impact, and enduring legacy of this seminal work, placing it within the context of the scientific ferment of the era and highlighting its influence on subsequent developments in physics. And the mid-19th century witnessed a surge of scientific investigation focused on the interconvertibility of various forms of energy, the idea that heat could perform mechanical work, and conversely, that mechanical work could generate heat, had gained traction through the work of figures such as Sadi Carnot, Julius Robert von Meyer, and James Prescott Joule. Carnot's reflections on the efficiency of steam engines, Meyer's observations on the colour of Venice blood in different climates, and Joule's meticulous experiments on the mechanical equivalent of heat each provided pieces of the puzzle. However, a fully coherent and universally accepted formulation of the principle of energy conservation remained elusive. Earlier attempts frequently lacked the mathematical rigor or the generality needed to encompass the diverse range of physical phenomena then under investigation. They often became mired in debates about vital forces, those mysterious agencies invoked to explain biological processes, which stood in apparent contradiction to purely mechanical explanations. Helmholtz entered this arena with the unique advantage of profound understanding of both physiology and physics. Trained initially as a physician, he approached physiological problems with a physicist's eye for quantitative analysis and a firm commitment to mechanistic explanations. His influential 1847 monograph on the conservation of force presented an early, albeit somewhat limited, formulation of the principle. This earlier work, deeply rooted in his physiological investigations of muscle contraction and nerve impulse transmission, argued against the existence of vital forces, asserting that all biological processes must ultimately obey the laws of physics. He posited a fundamental axiom that perpetual motion is impossible, a statement equivalent to the conservation of energy. From this, he derived mathematical expressions for the forces acting between material particles, restricting them to those dependent only on the distance separating the particles, thereby ensuring the conservation of energy. This initial foray, while groundbreaking, faced certain limitations. It primarily addressed conservative force systems, where the energy of a closed system remains constant over time. It struggled to account for phenomena involving friction or other dissipative forces, where energy appears to be lost. Furthermore, its focus on particle interactions, while conceptually powerful, lacked the generality needed to address macroscopic phenomena or fields. The 1870 treatise on the conservation of force represents Helmholtz's attempt to overcome these limitations and present a more comprehensive and mature statement of the principle. On the conservation of force, Helmholtz meticulously examines the implications of energy conservation across a broad spectrum of physical phenomena, moving beyond mere particle interactions to encompass heat, electricity, magnetism, and even chemical processes. Unlike his earlier work, he explicitly acknowledges the existence of dissipative forces, recognizing that energy can be transformed into forms that are less readily available for doing work, such as heat generated by friction. This acknowledgement marks a crucial step toward a more realistic and applicable formulation of the conservation principle. The treatise is structured around a rigorous mathematical framework. Helmholtz demonstrates how the principle of energy conservation can be expressed as a differential equation governing the evolution of a physical system through time. He introduces the concept of potential energy, representing the energy stored in a system due to its configuration, and shows how the total energy of a closed system, comprising both potential and kinetic energy, remains constant. He employs variational principles, mathematical techniques for finding functions that minimize or maximize certain quantities, to derive equations of motion for various physical systems, ensuring that these equations are consistent with the conservation of energy. A particularly striking aspect of Helmholtz's approach lies in his emphasis on the role of observation and experiment in validating scientific theories. He meticulously compares his theoretical predictions with experimental data, demonstrating the agreement between theory and observation across a wide range of phenomena. He discusses the experiments of Joule on the mechanical equivalent of heat, the work of Michael Faraday on electromagnetic induction, and his own experiments on the velocity of nerve impulses, showing how these seemingly disparate phenomena can be unified under the umbrella of energy conservation. The immediate impact on the conservation of force proved substantial. It solidified the principle of energy conservation as a cornerstone of physics, providing a unifying framework for understanding a diverse range of physical phenomena. It helped to dispel lingering doubts about the validity of mechanistic explanations in biology, further eroding the influence of vitalism. It spurred further research into the nature of energy and its transformations, leading to advancements in thermodynamics, electromagnetism, and other areas of physics. Crucially, Helmholtz's rigorous mathematical formulation of the conservation principle provided a powerful tool for developing new physical theories. By requiring that any proposed theory be consistent with the conservation of energy, physicists could eliminate incorrect or inconsistent models, narrowing down the range of possible explanations for observed phenomena. This constraint played a particularly important role in the development of thermodynamics, where the conservation of energy, combined with the second law of thermodynamics, which dictates the increase of entropy, provided a powerful framework for analyzing heat engines, chemical reactions, and other processes involving heat. And the influence on the conservation of force extends far beyond its immediate impact on physics. It played a crucial role in shaping the philosophical outlook of science, promoting a view of the universe as a deterministic system governed by universal laws. This worldview, while subject to later modification with the advent of quantum mechanics, profoundly influenced the development of scientific thought in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Helmholtz's work also had a significant impact on the development of technology. His understanding of thermodynamics and electromagnetism contributed to the design of more efficient steam engines, electric generators, and other technological innovations. His emphasis on the importance of precise measurement and quantitative analysis helped to drive the development of new experimental techniques and instruments, further accelerating scientific progress. However, the reception of Helmholtz's ideas was not without its critics. Some philosophers objected to what they perceived as the reductionist implications of his mechanistic worldview, arguing that it failed to account for the richness and complexity of human experience. Certain physicists questioned the absolute validity of energy conservation, particularly in the context of newly discovered phenomena such as radioactivity. These challenges, while prompting further investigation and refinement of the theory, did not ultimately undermine the fundamental importance of energy conservation. Over time, the concept of energy conservation underwent further refinement and generalization. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity demonstrated the equivalence of mass and energy, showing that mass can be converted into energy and vice versa, as expressed by the famous equation E=mc², where E represents energy, m represents mass, and c represents the speed of light. This discovery expanded the scope of energy conservation to encompass nuclear reactions and other processes involving changes in mass. Quantum mechanics introduced further complexities, revealing that energy is quantized, meaning that it can only exist in discrete amounts. This quantization of energy has profound implications for the behavior of atoms and other microscopic systems. However, even in the quantum realm, the principle of energy conservation remains a fundamental law, albeit one that must be applied with careful consideration of the probabilistic nature of quantum phenomena. A legacy of Hermann von Helmholtz on the conservation of force endures as a testament to the power of scientific reasoning and the importance of seeking unifying principles that govern the natural world. His rigorous mathematical formulation of energy conservation, his emphasis on experimental validation, and his commitment to mechanistic explanations have profoundly shaped the course of science. His work stands as a beacon, illuminating the path toward a deeper understanding of the universe and our place within it. Even today, students of physics encounter Helmholtz's contributions, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is a collective endeavor, built upon the foundations laid by those who came before. The echoes of his insights continue to resonate, shaping our understanding of the cosmos and inspiring future generations of scientists. One suspects even Helmholtz, with his characteristic scientific rigor, would appreciate the ongoing scrutiny and refinement of his ideas, a process essential to the ever-evolving tapestry of scientific knowledge, a tapestry he so masterfully helped to weave.